Hey, everybody. Hello, and welcome to another edition of What's Next podcast for women. How is everybody doing? Look, I hope y'all brought your drink because this one is going to be a drink kind of night. You see my co-host Teeca's got her drink on. So I want you all to grab your. Actually, this is not going to be a pen and paper kind of night. This is actually just going to be where we're going to sit back and we're going to talk about what happened in the news and how it affects us. So before we jump into the show, it's going to be a little different. But again, invite all your friends and family. Everybody sit down. If anyone has any questions for us, please drop them in the feed. We want to hear it. We want to hear your it's still Win Wednesday. So we want to hear what your win for the week is. You'll get to hear us at the end of this. During the time of us talking, you will get to ask us questions, make comments, and note that this show is all about empowerment. Has nothing to do with siding with anybody. This has nothing to do with or nor does it have anything to do with deflecting any type of pain on anyone. This is just our opinions and our views. So note that as well. So first and foremost, this is conversation. This is talk. Excuse me. I'm so excited. I can't get my tongue. I'm getting my words jumbled up. This is What's Next podcast for women. And I'm your host, Pamela Stone. And I have a new co-host, as I always do, this week. And you'll get to hear her a little bit about her and hear her story. But I wanted to first tell you a little bit about What's Next podcast and how it has come about. So What's Next podcast was really about when I was sitting at corporate, and I still do. But one day it just really hit me that I am sitting at a desk making someone else's dreams come true, lining their pockets or making their pockets larger. But I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I felt lost. I was up there so lost and so discombobulated. I literally broke down at my desk. And I broke down because I didn't know what my what's next was. And I was upset. I was mad at myself because I didn't know what my what's next was. But yet I was facing all these what ifs and I can't. So after I pulled myself together, I went around and I asked a few of my team members, well, what is their what's next? And they didn't know. And I said, what if I move any obstacle? What is your what if, or I can't that is stopping you from going after your what's next? And still not very many could answer me. So then I knew right then and there that was my journey, and actually that was my purpose here on earth, to start empowering women to help them conquer their what ifs and I can'ts, to allow them to go after their what's next, whatever it is. Maybe to go climb up the corporate ladder, maybe to be an entrepreneur, but whatever it is, so they can go out here and conquer what's holding them back, and then allowing them to have that life satisfaction. So that is the purpose of the What's Next podcast. I bring on powerful women co-hosts, as you will hear this one tonight, and we talk about different topics, and the topics are to help you get to your what's next. I want to let you all know that today is still Win Wednesday, so we love to hear your win. Now, my phone is going off because everyone's like, well, what's a win? A win is when you have set a goal. And I believe in small goals, weekly goals to daily goals. So if you have reached either of those goals, drop them in the feed. We love celebrating you. You'll get to hear our goals at the end of the show. As well as, even if you didn't know how to set a goal or didn't even set a goal, you still have time. But we still want to shout you out. I believe in celebrating women. And however I can celebrate you, if it's for your win or your shortfall of your win or whatever it is, but I believe in celebrating women so we can go and empower ourselves. So dropping them in the feed will be connected to you. Then lastly, the first half of the show is sponsored by At the Table. At the Table is a nonprofit organization here in Columbus, Ohio. They help women and girls thrive to what they want to become. So if you are interested in participating in an At the Table organization, I'll connect you down below and how you can get connected with At the Table. They are also having their 4th annual Woman Empowerment Luncheon. Yes, Woman Empowerment Luncheon. and it is going to be July the 11th. Now, I would love for you guys to sit at the table with me. I would love for all of us to have lunch together. If this is something you're interested in, I would love for you to get a ticket for me so we can sit at the table. I will drop the information below on how you can join me at the table on the fourth annual Woman Empowerment Luncheon. So, without further ado, let me introduce to you my amazing co-host, Teeca Thompson. How are you doing, lady?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited. It is my turn to be on What's Next for Women.
Yeah.
Super excited. So I am Teeca Thompson, as Pam said, and right now I am venturing out and launching a business. It is Sacred Healing Spaces, and Sacred Healing Spaces it's been an evolving concept since I launched in January. In the beginning, it was all about self care for women of color. And I had, this saying that I said that women of color, we do everything. Black women do everything. We hold everything together. And our self-care is absolutely raggedy on the back end. And Sacred Healing Spaces was all about helping women to connect to more sustainable self-care. But as my journey has evolved, now it's about empowerment through the engagement of different healing practices, such as yoga nidra and somatics, women's circles. I have a beautiful listening community for women of color, and also through storytelling. And so all of those modalities are used to help women connect to themselves, and be able to find some healing, and to empower themselves and have more sustainable self-care.
Absolutely. First of all, Alicia says, hello, hey there, ladies. And then Tekka, she give you claps up. So welcome. Thank you, Alicia. Dropping it in the feed. I know you have wins, so we've already talked about them, but I want everybody else to hear your win for this week. So tonight we are going to go a little off of the rail, but it needs to be talked about. Where the young lady, tennis player, young lady, where she had won, but she wasn't ready to go talk to do an interview. And I felt that was okay because that was her voice. But her voice was taken away when they fined her because she didn't want to do the interview. I don't know if you've all paid attention in the news where now she's even backed out. And I feel that and it's all because she even talked about she wasn't ready to talk. And she was forced to even explain why she wasn't ready to talk. And I feel that right there is a problem where woman empowerment was taken away. So Tekka and I are going to really start talking about it. And this is something I want you women to understand, that we as women have the power. And for someone to feel that they have the right to take that power away, I don't care if she made $1 million. I don't care if she made $1. It was her choice, and her choice was taken away. So Tekka, let's start opening it up and talk a little bit about it and what's your feel for it.
Well, yeah. So we're talking about Naomi Osaka, who is like 23 years old.
Yes.
And I believe she is the highest paid female athlete right now.
Right.
So Naomi decided that she did not want to participate in the French Open's mandatory media event. And she had explained, like, I have mental health. I'm making this choice for my own mental health. I have anxiety and depression. And I am making a choice not to participate. And she knew she was going to be fined. And she asked that those fines go to mental health awareness. Great, right? So what really had me going about all of this, two things, because in my business and in my life, I center rest, right? Mm-hmm. And so there are two things that happened when Naomi said, One is that the message is really clear that a Black woman's or women of color's right to say, I'm tired, I want to rest is not valued, right? Because here we have the whole entire world saying, how dare you not participate in this mandatory, thing that has to do with tennis. It's all about everyone else's, right? And so her right to rest was not valued, which also dehumanized her as a woman, as a Black woman. And as we know, rest, for Black women is a really powerful and a political statement, because our bodies have never been our bodies.
Right.
Our feet hit the soil. And the second thing that happened was when she said no, was, to me, it was a violation of consent.
I'm with you. It
How,
took the power away from her.
yes,
And
like,
that's where I'm
mhm.
sorry to interrupt you. That's where I was at. They took the power away. Well, she had the power, but they took it, they felt that they had more control over that power. But I want to first, go back and talk about let's address the mental health piece of it. First, I have to commend her for coming out and saying, due to my anxiety, see, I didn't know that piece of it, but due to my anxiety, I did not want to address it. And I felt that at that point in time, it should have been okay.
Yeah, so apparently, from what I'm reading, is that this is kind of a long-standing issue with her, or a thing. She does not feel comfortable speaking in public, and so it causes her waves of anxiety. And so this is something that's known. And she said, I can't do it, right? And
Mhm.
essentially, she's saying, I'm showing up for myself because
Right,
I can't do it. I understand the consequences. So yeah, it had to do with her mental health, but it doesn't even matter
right. She
what.
said no.
Yes, she said no. And to me, that's an issue of consent. When a woman says no, you don't have a right to her body. And, folks are converging down on her like, yes, when you signed up to be this role model tennis person, you kind of lost that. But no, she didn't. And, she had the right to say no.
Right,
So it's an issue of consent, and it's an issue of valuing a Black woman's right to say, no,
right.
I need to take a rest for myself, no matter what the reason is. And I don't know if you remember last year during the NCAA basketball tournament. I believe it was a player for Ohio State University decided he didn't want to play early on, like maybe it might even have been before the tournament or right at the beginning of the tournament. And he stated it was because of mental health issues.
Right,
And for the most part, he was celebrated for saying, hey, my mental health is more important than collegiate sports. He was celebrated in the media. His coaches celebrated him. And there were a few folks who were like really disrespectful on Twitter, but the university actually searched those folks out and held them accountable.
right,
Right? So now here we go once again, looking at the different play between female athletes and male athletes, right? They're
right,
not afforded the same respect. So it is huge. And for me, it's really huge just because of I view when a Black woman says, I need to take a rest or I need to take a nap, it's a political statement that we're pushing up against systems that want to tell us that we don't have control over our bodies.
right. And I so agree with you. Again, what I want everyone to understand, we are coming on here. These are our opinions and views. These are no one else's. And I agree with you, Teeca, because we as women, or we as African American women, we are already facing the struggles. We're already facing some hardship. And then this. But then, as you said, on the other side, when a male figure had did this, he was celebrated. And so we're still here again. I was talking to someone earlier. Here again, we are fighting so hard, but yet we're so valued as the hardest working women on this planet.
Hmm.
But yet we're pushed to that, to the limit there. And I believe, or I feel, should I say, I feel that they know that we're the hardest working woman, and we're strong, because what do they say? They're always saying we're the strongest woman here, and we are, but yet not to the point of where you have the right to demoralize us or take our values away.
Mhm.
But I agree with you. I so agree with you so heartily, on it again. It doesn't matter what it was. She did not want to do
Yeah.
it, and it should have been left alone. But it wasn't. And then she was willing to take the fine, which I commend her for that, wanting to take that fine and use it to the good of mental health.
Yeah, like actually like if we just take a step back and really take a moment to kind of space this out and really look at it. She's 23 years old.
Right.
I see that there's a lot of maturity there and a lot of courage too. Like
Absolutely.
not to just go with the flow of these large sporting authorities saying no, you have to. And what about the implications on your tennis career? Because really the way the story played out is she said, I'm not going to go to the press conference,
Right.
right? And they said, well, you're going to be fined,
Right.
right? And then they told her, if you keep it up, if
Right.
you keep denying us, access to your body, in
Right.
a sense, if we break it down, if you keep denying us access to you, then you're going to be kicked out of the tournament. And her little 23-year-old composed self said, well, I decide that I'm leaving the tournament.
Right.
Right. So I just commend her on so many levels because that takes a lot for a 23-year
Mhm.
old young woman to be able to stand up for what she believes in. And you
And
know
she was boisterous about it. That, I mean, she wasn't boisterous as being outspoken, but she was boisterous enough to stand up for her. How honestly, at that age, I'm with you. I have to commend her for that stance that she took for herself. Because honestly, how many women, and we need to talk about that, women at that age, how many women could have really did it? Really have stood for their age, stood up for themselves and their rights. So I'm with you. I commend her on the choices and the ways and how she handled it, because we have a lot of, it could have gone so opposite way, and she handled it with dignity. And that's another thing. She handled it with dignity. She handled it with her head up high. So I really commend and admire her for that.
yeah, agree that she stood in her absolute dignity and said, "This is what's best for me," and let the chips kind of fall where they may. And so I know she's sponsored by Nike, and Nike has decided to stand with her and support her in her decision. I know I stand with her
Me too.
wholeheartedly for
Yeah,
just so many different reasons. I stand with her because she's a young woman standing up for herself,
yeah,
because she's using her voice, she's taking up space, and she's choosing rest over, these systems. And it's just really sad.
yeah.
But and it's not just her. I mean, this is in the public view. It's on television, it's making
Yes,
national news, but this is us every day. I think about like last summer when we were going through all of the social unrest and racial unrest, and it was just one thing after the other. And we were expected to put on our lipstick, grab our heels, and show up at work as if nothing was happening. And not only were we expected to show up, but we were expected to produce.
right. at the same
at
pace.
the same level. And so here it is once again playing out again that, even though I am not Naomi saying I don't feel comfortable with this, we are expecting you to get up there on that podium and produce, again, which to me sits on a really political level, because again, our history as Black women here in this country was that we were expected to be the laborer. We were expected to work while still producing the human resource to continue slavery,
Wow.
right? So we were actually working and producing, and that has kind of just became our legacy. It's expected
Mhm.
of us. And so for me, what happened is about rest, it's about dignity, it's about consent, but it's also a political statement as well.
So since this has happened, how do you view as we're talking about it? What is your viewpoint on it all? I mean, I know we talk about the rest, but at what point? I mean, what is your real take on it, or the takeaway from this?
So I guess, I mean, the real takeaway is like I've always loved her as an athlete because she's always been outspoken, authentic, and real. And folks thought for a while she's this little sweetheart, but she has a voice, and she continues to show me that she can show up in this world for herself. And I just think that's a tremendous role model, not just for young women, but for all women, because sometimes it's just easier to go with the
With the
flow.
flow. Oh yeah, it is so easy, right? You're so right. It is easy to go with the flow of things. So with that being said, oops. So with that being said, I apologize. With that being said, how do we one let everyone know that we empower how do we empower women? What do we do from this step on, and how can we take it to the next so we can do the arm in arm, stand behind her, stand behind any woman. No woman should have to go through this, but it does happen. It does happen. But what can we do?
So I think that the way you and I show up in the world, the way that we're offering our gifts right now, helps women to kind of take a step back and think about what an empowered no means. What does a yes mean? Or what does no, I need to step back and take rest for myself, because it's the work that you and I are doing. So I think it's just us connecting with women and continuing to support and educate them and giving them the tools, and sometimes even the language around, uh,
True.
you
I
know,
agree.
the
I
language,
agree.
and yeah, and the support. Like for instance, um, in the conversation lounge, women have been coming to the conversation lounge and finding their voice.
Yes.
Frankly.
Yeah.
And so they're leaving from the conversation lounge with a skill that they all already had, but they feel more empowered to use. And so I think one of the things that you and I can do is keep showing up in the world the way that we show up in the world, and offer the gifts that we are offering to support and empower and encourage women.
I really like the where you had said empower with our voice. I think that is powerful. I want women to understand it's all about standing for ourselves. Stand up for ourselves. Now, don't I understand it's hard. I understand that because there, you have those that will intimidate you, or as they did. I felt they did intimidate her.
Mhm.
But the intimidation didn't work, which again, she is my Shira. If I could talk to her, I would let her know she is my Shira because she has shown me at my age that I have a voice and my voice matters and it counts, no matter what everybody else says. Now we do talk about that here in our community here, but now we really have a true role model that is here and stand in front of us that's showing that her voice matters and her opinion matters no matter what everybody else says. And she handled it as she should, as dignity. So many people expect us to come out. just throat ramping and raving, which she didn't. And so again, I commend her for that, because now she's shown us that we can give a powerful no, and know that it doesn't have to be without being indignant into the community and into the
Yeah.
society. So
Yeah.
again, that was another learning piece that I learned out of her. But you also talked about rest, because someone just like keeps pinging me. I'm like, okay, I'll ask. They were like, what does rest mean? And so tell everybody a little bit about what the rest part means.
So I'm really glad you asked me about that. And basically, rest means that you stop moving your body. Um, you slow down and you rest. I was reading an article um, by Dr. Sandra Dalton Smith, and she says that there are 5 types of rest. And I'm just gonna see, maybe people should have brought a pen and paper. So I'm
Doesn't
going to tell you what Dr. Sandra Dalton Smith's 5 levels of rest are. First, she said physical rest, and that basically means you can lay down and take a nap. Or active rest means practices like yoga. For me, I do a somatic practice, which helps me connect to my body and release stress. The second one is mental rest. Sometimes, especially here in America and in Western culture, we're always in our heads. We're always thinking. We always have our head full. And we go to bed at night with a full head, and we're not able to get proper rest. So, mental rest, creative rest. And what she meant by creative rest is um, expanding your environment so that it stimulates creativity. So if you're always working and you're always in your office, you're in a cramped space and you're seeing the same thing. So if you go out in nature, or you experience creativity through painting or some other creative outlet, it helps you to engage in what she calls creative rest. Emotional rest. This is a big one for me, which is simply just space and time to process your emotions and your feelings, and just let them kind of, have their way, not, just kind of let them process as opposed to trying to push them down all the time. And so for her, that is, and then the fifth one is spiritual rest, which is our connection to, for me, would be God. For others, just something that you feel is larger than you, something that is bigger than you, that gives you a sense of purpose and belonging, love, and acceptance. And so she's saying that we just need to slow down and explore all those different types of rest. I'm not going to go way, way deep into rest because I do have an article coming out in the Vision Made magazine that talks about my year-long journey with rest. So I don't want to expose all of that because I want you guys to get the magazine. But I will say that for me, rest has come full circle. I had a time last year when I was completely dysregulated with myself. And when you're not able to tap into rest, you're not able to mobilize, or you're not able to show up as your full resource self, right? And that's what Naomi did when
Mhm.
she said no. She did that in dignity, and it wasn't, out of emotion. It was just like, I can't do this. And so through the process of resting, and I talk about rest a lot, I was able to regain myself and then also find a new vision. And that's what happens. And Pam knows I will cancel an appointment. I will not show up to a book club if I'm tired. I say I can't do it. I'm tired right now. And so people hear me talking about rest all the time and they think I sleep all the time. That's not the case. I'm actually very busy.
Yeah.
I've accomplished a lot during the pandemic, and I work full time. I'm a full time care provider for my mom, but I center rest, and this is going to be probably one of my last points. I center rest in my life, which means that I always take time out each day somehow to put rest in my day. And so the first person that I listen to now is my body, is myself. Whereas before, I was always responding and reacting to outside stimulus,
Mhm.
right? So Naomi, again, is a perfect example of the first person I'm going to listen to is me and my body. And that's how I center rest, whether it's 5 minutes to check in with my body, or if it's a 30-minute nap that I take. Every day I'm finding some way to put rest in, and that's what centered rest is. I'm not sleeping all the time, even though if you check me out on Facebook, it looks like I might be sleep all the time because all I talk about is rest. But no, I'm actually quite busy, but I center rest in my life. Thank you
I
for asking.
I like that. The centered rest. I believe that everyone should try the centered rest. We have so much going on in the world, as you see, as we are going through, and center rest does, because a lot of us do miss that connection with our bodies, with ourselves. So I'm glad that you even talked about what rest means. And I like the where you had talked about the 5 different levels of rest. I really like that too. So if you guys want to know more about what Teeca means on rest, you guys have to get the Vision Made magazine. It will be coming out soon, where she does go in depth more about what rest is. And as well as, oh my goodness, and if you guys haven't been able to check out her conversation lounge, you have to check it out. It is a powerful tool. It has taught me how to listen, but listen the right way. So that you have to check out her, and she'll drop more on her information on how you can connect to it. But before we go anymore, Tekka, what else do you have to say about this?
In Naomi in particular,
Yes.
or again, I just think that, especially as women, we just need to stand in support of her. And I was having a conversation with a woman after the conversation lounge, and we were talking about why do you center Black women or women of color in your business? And she has a similar business to mine. And she said, sometimes when you really don't know what to say, it's easier to back down. So with Naomi, if you're having this conversation like we're having tonight, make sure you know what you want to say. Make
Right.
sure you're ready and prepared for the conversation, because the conversation is not just for Naomi, it is also for you yourself as the Black woman who's having the conversation. Because the reasons why she needed to center herself and show up for herself are the same reasons we need to center ourselves and show up for ourselves.
Absolutely. And also too, I'm I want everyone to know that mental health is nothing to play with. Take it seriously. And I commend her for that as well. She didn't have to say that she had anxiety. She just could have said, I don't want to do it anymore. So for that being said, on how she had talked about the good point to prepare for it needed to be. We have to talk about it. But I again, mental health. There's mental health, and so many people suppress. They have mental health that they don't even want to talk about it. So I'm even glad that she even did this so we can talk about it. We're doing it here. Look, we're having so many women coming in here and talking about it. And what perfect place to talk about it, and an open space where there is no threat and there is no harm. Understand that we all have the right to what we want to do with our bodies. No one has the right to take that over. So again, I am so thankful that you came on here, and we talked about how this was how this had how this had played out, but it also played out such in a positive way for us that we got to talk about it. And again, mental health is so important. We have so many, it's sad to say that so many people don't want to talk about mental health. I want us to talk about it. I want us to be open on it and to understand and respect everyone's mental health on whatever level that it is, and know that we're here to support you, not look down on you. So again, when that happened, she has taught me to always be aware of other individuals' mental health as well as mine. But has also taught me that it's okay to talk about it. And the only way we can talk about it, as Cecilia did, to speak your truth to healing. We have to. And this is so much needed. Women and mental health. Yes, we must rest. Yeah, we must.
Yeah.
Ladies, keep it coming. We have to keep talking about this.
Yeah, so you know what? That's a great point about, just lifting up how the importance of mental health. And I am really also glad, like, there's this Naomi, what she's done is just really put a spotlight on so many issues that women of color need to, look at: rest, consent to our own bodies, and mental health. And such a powerful statement once again, because sometimes mental health is not always talked about in our community, and especially not on a public forum. Like, she decided, hey, it's because I'm anxious. And she also said, I have depression too, as
Mhm.
well.
Yes, she did. Yes, she
So
did.
I'm really hoping that folks are, that she has a team of folks around her to kind of, help her, um, uh, walk through this, because she made this very public statement and this very public choice. And we know that we carry all of that in our bodies, right?
Mhm.
So for her, there may be some backlash or even deeper depression and anxiety after this. So I'm hoping that she's supported by, her team of folks around her, just to kind of keep her, stabilized as she walks through, through this. And so that's a great point. When we're engaging with one another, just know,
Mhm.
right? I'm such a big proponent on, when stuff happens in our community, I'm always like, hey, y'all, take care of yourselves,
Mhm.
right? Because we're so used to suppressing our emotions. Um, you cannot be a Black woman and live in America and not be disassociated from your feelings. It's just impossible for us to do that. We need to name it and recognize it and take time for us to air out those feelings sometimes. And the reason why I say it's impossible for us to not live dissociated, because there's so much stuff that happens to us every
True.
day, all day, constantly, that if we don't dissociate from some of it, we can't function, right? But keeping all of that down inside of us makes us at higher risk for mental health, and also for negative health outcomes. So platforms like this, and having access to mental health is paramount, because we we have this way of showing up in the world where we're taught that we're not even allowed to have our emotions and our feelings, and we have to suppress them, which is very unhealthy,
Right.
for us. Like, we even commend each other for being a strong Black woman, right?
Yeah.
Only amplifies the fact that I can't have my emotions, right? So sorry for going a little bit off.
No, but you're not. Don't be sorry. This is a perfect no, no. This is true though. This is so true. Alicia says, think about Meghan Markle when she admitted her mental health struggles. And she was, out in her community, and was talked about. And though, and they even interviewed a gentleman in over in London, saying that she made this up to get attention.
Hmm.
And I think that's sad to say when you don't know what an individual is dealing with. You've never been, you're not in that individual's life or in the individual space. So you
Yeah.
don't know what an individual go through. So I'm glad that we're talking about it. And I'm glad it's bringing up conversation. And I want women to understand that here at What's Next podcast, well, we're all about supporting women, and we're here for the community, for everyone. And to think that that's just terrible. Yeah. To think that we don't have a place, that's has to be a space that I don't want that any woman to face.
Yeah.
So to create this space here where we can talk about it, this as you have an opinion and I have an opinion, we all have an opinion, but knowing that we respect each other's opinion and knowing that we're still here for each other. So this is an amazing conversation, and I'm glad we're talking about it. So don't even apologize when you're going off. It's okay.
I just kind of went off on a tangent there, but and Pam, you did lift something up. Spaces for us to have these conversations and spaces for women of color to be witnessed. I'm going to refer back to my conversation lounge because listening, just having someone to be able to witness your story is very powerful. And I knew that, right? I knew that going into creating that space, but I have been absolutely blown away by um, the impact that it's having on the women. Like I knew that it was powerful, but the transformation and the love and support and the happiness that's coming out of that little space that we create, it literally blows me away every month. And I'm not saying that to hype up the conversation lounge. I really sit in awe when I see the women come back after having a conversation and being witnessed with these huge smiles on their
Yeah.
faces. And it just, I feel incredible gratitude and super humble that I have been given this opportunity to create this space for communal healing.
I have to say, you guys have to check her out. I try to get there every month, a couple times. It's like therapy, you guys, but it's so much needed, and it's so in a space that is respected. It is so in an open space that there is no judgment. So you definitely have to check out the Conversation Lounge. How can they find the lounge?
So I'm gonna drop the so what you can do, it's always a reoccurring event on Eventbrite. And if you are connected, you can follow me on Facebook. It is well marketed on Facebook because I just want everyone to come. But I'm gonna drop the link for Eventbrite in the chat, and it's a reoccurring event. We show up every month. We have a facilitated conversation. This month on all of my platforms, I've been really feeling called to talk about rest. So I was super excited that Pam called me and she said, let's have this conversation about Naomi Osaka. And I'm like, it falls right into everything that I want to do this month. So this month's conversation, we're going to be talking about rest in the conversation lounge. I just recently received a certification in yoga nidra, and so I'm going to be leading all the women in a really quick 15-minute yoga nidra. If you've never experienced that, yoga nidra is a form of meditation. It's not a physical practice of yoga. It's called sleep yoga actually. And so it's super relaxing, and it allows you to go through all the levels of sleep but still be semi awake. And there's a lot of beautiful benefits that come from it. Um, I'm going to say one thing, but if you want to experience it, you got to come check us out in the Conversation Lounge. They say that 30 minutes of yoga nidra is the equivalent to 4 hours of sleep.
Sleep.
So it's a
Ooh,
very powerful practice. So
okay. I know this much. I already got my seat. I don't know about the rest of y'all. I missed my car. I missed my lounge session last month, and I'm just not feeling correct. Kind of off tilt a little bit, but you guys have to check it out. It is so. I promise you, it is such an amazing community and experience that you guys need to. You really need to just check us out and come and join us. Well, we would love for you to join us. Taka, time is almost up. This has been such a needed. I'm glad you came and joined me on here so we can talk about this. And I hope that this has just have nothing else has started creating a conversation that women can go know and understand that we can talk about the mental health and to understand that we come with no judgment and also know that let's just go and just talk. I mean, this is nothing else. She has again has shown me on so many levels a strength of a woman, strength of a young black woman. I mean, she's 23 years old and she came with a lot of strength and power. So she has really impacted me. And I hope she's impacted some of you one way or another. Also, respect everybody's mental health. Mental health is important, everybody. And it's nothing to take lightly, it's nothing to judge. No matter what, we need to respect each other's choices and their mental health. And then lastly, it was her choice, not anybody else. We have a lot of people that will try to intimidate individuals or take their voice away, not understanding that we do have a voice. So she has really taught me that my voice matters. And so does that, so all of yours. Before we go, I know I'm going to change a little bit, change the seriousness of the conversation. I would love to hear everybody's win. I mean, we all have wins. This was a win right here, just even to talk about the show. But what was your win for the week, you guys? We want to hear about it. So drop it in the feed. Tell us your win for the week. I also had dropped in the link, the Eventbrite link. Teeca had shared with us, so then you can go and register for the Conversation Lounge for this month. Teeca, what is your win for this week?
So my win for this week is I am working on a certification in somatics, a somatic practice, and there's several quizzes that you have to do, and I am on section 3. I passed all my quizzes, so I was like, yeah, so excited to bring somatics and yoga nidra to women of color. So that is a super win for me. Just
That is awesome.
making progress. Yes, thank you.
Congratulations. Well, I have to say this show was a win for me. As coming on to being in the forefront, you never know the backlash, but I didn't care. And so I have to say that was a big one because I want people to understand that we have a voice and take the voice seriously, and that no matter what, we need to value ourselves, and then as well as more so value the next individual no matter what their choices are. So I want you all to know that you are all appreciated. We thank you all. We've been having everybody's coming in, dropping nuggets, dropping questions, dropping so many helpful, cheering us on and everything else. But I want to thank you all for even taking time out of your day to come and just sit and talk with us. This is all about here creating a tribe, creating a support system, and checking out. Getting on. Oh yeah, she said getting. Lisa, we'll get them there, but getting out here and just going out here and empowering us all. No matter what's going on with ourselves, but knowing that you have a safe space here and a support system here that you can go after your whatever you would like to get to. I want you all to, as we are talking about as we talked about here, the mental health and as well as the outcome. Tomorrow you have to check Elisa and I out on Talk to Us tomorrow, where we actually Teeca, you're gonna love this. Where we're gonna do a listening exercise. So
Oh,
how you can listen. Teeca will tell you she knows that I had to work on that, but I've been working on it.
yes, you have.
I've been working on it. But you guys should check us out. We'll be here at Facebook on live at 7 p.m. Same space, same place. But it'll be talk to us, and we're going to do something. Oh my goodness, I can't even. Okay, I'm gonna sit my hand still. But we having an activity, right, Elisa? We're having an activity on this. She won't let me tell you guys about the activity, but you guys got to join us so you can come and do the activity. And it's just really talking about how to be a good, how to listen, not listen, but listen. And there has been a difference because actually Teeca has taught me how to listen and how to be a really good listener. So those of you got to come back and join us, and so you can do the activity and everything like that. Look, she wrote. Look, she write exactly.
Right. Hey, Lisa.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. So, but I want you all to come and join us. We have as we're talking and empowering each other in different topics. We do that over there at Talk to Us Thursday. And what we do is on Talk to Us Thursday, we talk about the mental health too. So I know we will talk a little bit more about the listening over there on Thursday. So, Teeca, this was fun. We have been on. We didn't even stop to take a break or anything. This is
No.
amazing. I really appreciate you coming on here, and I enjoyed you. Before we go, what is one thing you would like to leave our listeners and followers with?
Oh my gosh, I am so glad. I was going to ask what I'd like to leave with our listeners is a practice that they
Okay.
can take with them. And I call this practice the pause. And it is a form of rest. So if you're super busy in your day, like I said, sometimes you don't have time to take a nap or do, a practice or whatever. Practicing the pause is something you can do 3 minutes, 5 minutes. And so basically, I'm just going to demonstrate it for you. And I try and practice the pause several times a day just to recenter my body. It's very quick and simple. So you basically just start by taking 2 or 3 deep breaths into your belly. And as you're doing that, you just turn your focus inward and just begin to notice what's happening in your body. It could be my stomach's growling, grumbly, my stomach's tight. You notice your feet on the ground and just drop down into your body. Notice heat. Am I hot? Am I cold? And then I always like to ask myself, what do I need in this moment? What is it that I need right now? And then I end with a couple more deep breaths in and out. I think of something that I'm grateful for, and I let that just sit there for a second. And as I come out of practice in the pause, oftentimes I'll ask myself, is the next action I'm going to take creating space in my life or taking space away? And then I have a choice. I don't have to answer that email, do I? Nah, not really. Not right now. And so then you create a little bit of space for yourself. And so that is what I call practice the pause. Thank you for allowing me to gift that to you. It's super simple. You're just dropping down into your body and doing a check in and then going on with your day.
That was powerful. That was really powerful.
Thank
Well,
you.
everybody, I want to thank Teeca for coming on here. We got to talk about our most powerful conversation that we've had here on What's Next podcast, but it was so needed and so appreciative of actually get to talk to an amazing woman. You guys have to check out her conversation lounge. I dropped the link so you guys get out there, and you'll get to do more work with her. So as I close, everybody, I want everybody to understand. I want you to realize who you are, realize the space you're in, and appreciate yourself. You're such an amazing person and a wonderful person. And know that everybody has the choice to say yay or nay. That's your choice. Don't let anybody take that away. I hope you all have enjoyed tonight's show. I felt that if nothing else, it had started a conversation, and that's what we wanted to do here. We wanted to create a conversation that can be open with no judgment, and know that you're here, and you have support. Until next week on What's Next podcast for women, if you guys have any questions on how to practice the pause, drop it in the feed. I will definitely connect you to Teeca. Check out the Conversation Lounge, which is such an amazing practice. I can't wait because I'm feeling a little tilted, as I said, because I missed my session last month. But again, if no one has not told you all, you are all amazing and you rock. And go out here and you be yourself and take care of yourself. Until next week at What's Next podcast for women, we'll see you. Bye, everybody.